Wow! Cool.
Hello everyone, Brett back at it here from Universe of Adventures. Hope you like my new digs here. This is where I'll be recording videos from now on. Eventually this wall behind me will end up being decorated and this desk will be repainted. I'm trying to cover up as many of the nicks as possible right here. That's why you see some of the stuff. That's why this is here, but this is supposed to be here anyway too, because it's part. Anyway. In addition, I'm not sure if you look a little if I look a little crooked or not. You're looking a little crooked there, the way this sits, but I'm using an older camera, and it doesn't get along with the tripod. I'm also using some lighting equipment to help with the lighting, so it's shining right at my face right now. Thankfully, I'm in theater and involved in film, so I'm used to this. I just won't be able to see for a little bit is all. Who cares? At least I have a beer fridge right here, right? That's what's important. Anyway, this is all a work in progress. Just like my blog, this channel, my life. Alright, before we get underway here, please make sure you subscribe to the channel, ring that bell, and go ahead and give us a thumbs up while you're at it. Also, head on over to www.universeofadventures.com and subscribe there. And don't forget about our social media channels either. All are listed below in the description. Well, here we are, the final video of the 2020 KALEA Brewers Advent Calendar. You had 25 videos featuring 23 different beers, and today is video number 26. And this is going to be the one that ties them all together. The playlist is linked below, and this is also probably part of the playlist. If you're watching the playlist, you're good anyway. But make sure you take a look at all of our videos. Today we'll do a pretty good job of recapping all of them. Now, this video will be rather simple. I'm just going to give my overall thoughts on the 2020 Brewers Advent Calendar, and then rank each of the beers, number 1 through number 23, based off of my ratings. There were a few tiebreakers, and I will explain what forced the decision in the tiebreakers when the time comes. I didn't want any straight-up ties to where we had multiple number 3s, for example. Just note that if I say there is a tie, then the beers had to have been really good to be considered for that spot. Also, thanks to everyone who watched our bonus video that featured me and the other 2 Beer Stooges. That video won't be referenced much here because it's a beer that appeared twice. However, make sure you check out that video because it's a really fun one. It has some funny parts and, well, you get 2 other opinions that aren't mine. So give the thumbs up there too and subscribe just because I told you to. The other 2 Beer Stooges are going to be featured in many videos going forward, and not just beer ones either. We may have to come up with different names each time though, because it's not always going to be just beer, so we can't be the 3 Beer Stooges, but we'll cross that bridge when the time comes. So, this video will not just be my face here and talking. I'm sure you guys are all over that, even though you're still watching, I guess, but some photos will be thrown up, as well as me talking over the top of those photos and videos, blah, 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 blah. You get the picture, and if you don't, well, you will soon. So, let's just talk about the KALEA Brewers Advent Calendar here really quickly. Well, this whole video series is about it, but we're talking about the actual calendar item itself. This calendar, which is just so beautiful, it is the most exclusive calendar that KALEA sells. It is made specifically for beer connoisseurs outside of Europe. KALEA has been selling these since 2014, and somehow this is the first time I've ever had one. Kinda mad at myself for that one, but you can bet your behind that I will be getting it again next year. Which is also bad news for you because, well, that means more review videos. The calendar, as you already know, features many different beer styles, and not just Pilsners and Pales. They say the highlights this year were the Ladenburger Weizenbock, which, well, spoiler alert if you haven't seen any of the other videos, but that takes the number 1 spot. The other highlight was Wanneser Steinbier, which didn't come in this pack. I got the Herrenbräu Tradition twice, which is a really good beer. But if the Steinbier was a highlight beer, well, then I'm sad it wasn't in there. KALEA, I beg of you to make sure that the Steinbier is included next year. Include it so I can finally have it. It's gotten a lot of good reviews. So naturally, the selection of beers does change annually. So thankfully there will be some new beers featured next year, along with some of the old favorites for this year. And it'll be interesting to see if the ratings change and how the rankings go. The beer batches could be better, and maybe my tastes have changed. Who really knows? I just hope that the Wanneser Steinbier is in it next year. KALEA, it's up to you to save the world. Or at least my channel. But realistically, my soul. Okay, so the beers featured in the calendar also only come from privately owned breweries. KALEA won't work with anyone else. The beers featured come from Germany and Austria, and they are canned. Now, they don't really drink beer out of cans in Austria and Germany, but they had to can them in order to preserve the freshness and obviously transport them here. The calendar is available in the United States, Canada, Australia, and Taiwan. I'm not really sure where else you're able to buy it here in the States, but I do know Costco carries them because that is where I got mine at. Every beer also has its own story for the most part, and we will get into that as we discuss the beers. It's going to vary. I don't want this to take too long of a time, obviously, the video. So it's going to kind of be, going to discuss the story of really my thoughts on it, and then maybe some interesting background history if there is some interesting background history to go with the beer that we know of. You'll see when we get there. KALEA, thank you for doing this every year. I don't want to rush 2021, especially after how 2020 was, but I am really looking forward to next year's calendar already. Alrighty, here we go. Time to rank the beers. Now, just because one is ranked number 23 doesn't mean it's a bad beer. I'm not picky when it comes to beer styles, and I always rank compared to others of its style, unless it's the first time I'm trying that style, and it sets the bar, yada yada. The lowest beer I have on this list is at a 3.7. That's above average for my rankings. That means that all these beers are amazing and each deserves recognition for what they are. They are all delicious beers that I would drink again in a heartbeat. Really quickly before we dive in, just want to remind everyone to add me as a friend on Untappd, Brett Beer Adventure. That way you can see my check-ins in real time. In addition, I thank Untappd for being an amazing social media platform for us beer snobs. It's a great way to keep track of what I've had and see stats by style. In addition, collecting the badges are really fun. I'm an Untappd supporter. It's just $4 a month. You get a nice badge and some good perks with it. I recommend not only just signing up for the platform, but becoming a supporter if you can as well. By the way, this wasn't a paid promotion. This is just me recommending a terrific beer social media app for you beer drinkers. I'd also like to recommend the official beer tasting app that KALEA recommends with their calendar. It is like Untappd in many ways. In addition, it provides an amazing updates as well as reviews of each beer as they are unveiled. Highly recommended, and if you get the calendar, then it is a must to download, just because they pair so well together. Thank you, KALEA and Beer Tasting, and of course, thank you to all the breweries, or breweries, that took part in this year's calendar. I cannot wait to see what the 2021 calendar brings, and I also hope to visit many of you in the future. Without further ado, let's get the rankings started. Number 23 was the beer from December 6th. It's the Turboprop Imperial Pilsner with 35 IBUs from Propeller Beer, a microbrewery out of Bad Laspa, Nordrhein-Westfalen, Germany. Now, like I said, just because it's number 23 doesn't mean it's a bad beer. In fact, I kept saying in my review that it's not bad. In addition, this kind of set the bar for Imperial Pilsners because it was the first one I ever had, or at least ranked and checked in. My Untappd review said, might be the first Imperial Pils I've had. Not bad, and definitely more flavorful and hoppy than a traditional Pilsner. Didn't get much more beyond that, but you can feel the alcohol in this one, even at just 6.5%. Not bad, though. Honestly, this is definitely a beer I would have again. It was fairly hoppy while also having a restrained fruity and herbal taste. The rest of it tasted like a sweeter and stronger Pilsner. I have to go to Germany sometime and check out this microbrewery, by the way. It's all aviation themed, fits well with everything. This was just one of the aviation themed beers, and I hope KALEA includes another beer from Propeller Beer in next year's calendar. Otherwise, I'll just have to head straight to the source and try some of their good old brews myself. Anyway, now on to number 22. Okay, this kind of hurts me to have an IPA sit in the number 22 spot, but that just proves how great this calendar really is. IPAs are a style I used to hate, but they have really grown on me, and now they are one of my favorite beer styles. I've probably had more IPAs than any other style of beer that isn't a lager or a pilsner. Of course, when Bell's Two Hearted is so easily accessible, and the fact that that is a 5 out of 5 beer, anything ranked relative to that will probably sit at a lower number. At any rate, number 22 is the Perlenzauber IPA, which is a 6% international IPA by Privatbrauerei HIGRH out of Großhambach, Germany. Though it was brewed by Brauerei Ried out of Ried im Kreis Oberösterreich, Austria. This beer is brewed and canned exclusively for this calendar, and it rotates breweries each year, so it makes it a really rare beer. For 2020, it was Brauerei Ried's turn. Now, this beer also got a 3.7 just like the Turboprop. The tiebreaker went to this one for 2 reasons. A, its rarity. This is probably the only time I will ever have this beer. B, the style. It's an IPA. Not to knock Pilsners because there are some good Pilsners out there, and an Imperial Pilsner such as the Turboprop is really good, but the IPA just takes the cake here. In addition, it was one of the more interesting IPAs I've ever had, but that didn't elevate it up towards two-hearted territory. My Untapped review says, very interesting IPA, rather creamy, interesting smell, a bit bitter, piney, and earthy. The malt flavor dominates over astringency. Tea-like flavor, but isn't bad. The creamy sweetness and malt flavor helps, so the bitterness doesn't take over. All in all, it was unlike any IPA I've ever had. It was hoppy, bitter, grassy, savory, creamy, tea-like, and malty. With that Untapped check-in, I received 3 badges. Verified Adventurer level 94, which means I have had over 470 beer check-ins at a venue that was verified. This verified venue, however, was Untapped at home, something Untapped put on as a verified venue when the pandemic hit in March. It was a way to have people still check in beer with home being a verified venue. I also got the For the Can level 59 badge. This just means I checked in 315 beers with the serving style of can. I enjoy beer on draft, obviously, but at the present time, cans and bottles are the only ways I can drink, except for the homebrews we make. More on that later, though. I also got the I Believe in IPA level 43 badge. I have checked in 215 different IPAs. Told you I have a lot of them. Anyway, let's roll on to number 21. Number 21 was near the midway point of the calendar. It was one of the many Helles lagers in the calendar, and it was in a pack that's stacked with Helleses. The calendar itself is stacked with Helleses. Just one had to sit lower. But with a 3.8 rating, it is still an above-average Helles that I would recommend to anyone. Of course, I am talking about Grandel, from Ankerbräu Nordling, a contract brewery out of Nordling, Bayern. This 5% Helles was rather good, though it had mostly malt taste. My Untapped review said malt and malt. Mostly what I'm getting out of this. Really sweet Bavarian Helles that finishes clean and dryish. Light and easy drinking. Slight honey taste and slight caramel malt bitterness. And yes, such a thing exists. Beautiful looking beer. While it was terrific, the other Helleses had qualities that elevated them above this one. Once again, though, this is a beer I would have again in a heartbeat. It was delicious, and I love me some Helleses. I also received the Giving 2020 badge for checking this beer in. This was a badge that was created for the year end of a really tough year. Of course, the holiday season is the season of giving, and the entire Untapped community has the collective power of good in their hands. This badge was to inspire giving. And I know we all have had a tough year. Businesses are hurting, and many nonprofits are as well. Do something to support them going forward until we are over the hill with this pandemic. Whether you donate to a nonprofit organization, give to a local food bank, order out from your favorite local restaurant, or get beer to go from your favorite brewery. Do something to help those in need and those businesses fighting for survival. I'm thinking of everyone during these tough times. Better times are ahead. We just need to continue to work towards getting there. Okay, on to number 20. Squeaking into the top 20 of the calendar with a 3.9 rating, and really a 4-way tie at 3.9, is one of the later beers of the pack, the 5% 35 IBU Landgang Pilsner from Landgang Brauerei out of Hamburg, Germany. Now, this beer was contract brewed by Privatbrauerei HI Garaha specifically for the KALEA Advent Calendar. This beer is a German Pilsner, but is the brewery's interpretation of a traditional Nordic Pilsner. No cold hopping and no experimenting with it. They dove straight into it and made a beer with a good balance between bitterness and a malt body. My Untapped review says, does not taste like a traditional Pils, and that isn't bad. This Nordic-like Pils has a smell that is quite different than the taste. Starts honey/citrus sweet, and the earthy hop bitterness takes over. Drier and a bit more bitter than expected. All in all, this was a beer that was hoppy, sweet, and malty. A really good balance of the two, with some honey and citrus-like taste, as mentioned. So, for a 4-way tie, why does it sit last? Well, the next two in line are Helles lagers, and you all know how much I love those. The other is another German Pilsner, and I'll explain why that ranked a bit higher when we get to it. With this check-in, I also received the Crisp as Day Level 5 badge. That means I have checked in 25 different Pilsners. You're probably asking yourself, but you previously said you've had a lot of Pilsners and lagers. Well, of course I have. What are our mass-produced beers here in America? Having many doesn't mean I've had many different. In addition, I only joined Untapped in 2016, so I haven't amassed as many different Pilses. They aren't necessarily the first one I will take at a microbrewery either, but trust me, and obviously, I do drink them. No more explanation needed there. On to number 19. Number 19 is where the Back to the Future jokes start back up. Butthead. Of course, this is the Tannenhell, the 5% ABV and 11 IBU Helles from Hohenthaner Schlossbrauerei out of Hohenthal, Bayern, Germany. This beer is noted for being a European champion. Of course, it's another Helles, and it's a solid one at that. But, like I said, with so many Helleses present in the calendar, there has to be a wide range of rankings. My Untappd review said, solid Helles, light-bodied and a nice light golden color. Nice sugary grain smell with floral smell. Very light citrus notes but sweet tasting. Definitely a good drinker. It was light, smooth, sweet, floral, and citrusy. A pretty good combo, honestly. With this check-in, I received 2 badges on Untappd. One was the Verified Adventurer, level 89 badge, which I won't explain because it was explained previously, and the Lagerjack, level 19 badge, which means I have checked into 95 different lagers. While Tannenhell sits at number 19, this beer still stands out amongst the pack. I think it was because of the can design. It just reminded me of Christmas. But maybe that's because Christmas was upon us? Or maybe it was the name of my Back to the Future jokes. Who knows? Anyway, on to number 18. Number 18 takes us to another Pilsner. This one was the Keutzle from Keusenbräu in Ochsenfurt, Bayern. This was a solid Pilsner that stood out from the pack, but the Pilsners tended to sit a little lower than some of the other beers. Once again, still a great beer, no matter how we rank it or pour it. My Untappd review says, pours great. That doughy Pilsner smell leads to a very solid Pilsner. Doughy grain taste that leads to a sweeter flavor, finishes dry, slight citrus and almost an apple-like flavor. Slight hop bitterness to it. This elevated slightly ahead of the Landgang Pils because the sweet taste of the Pilsner ruled. Of course, it finished dry, which provided an interesting feeling with the sweet taste. The slight citrus and hint of apple also helped. Overall, a really enjoyable Pilsner. And at 4.8%, a really easy drinker. A really easy drinker. Onwards and upwards to number 17. Number 17 was the second beer of the calendar. We have to go all the way back to December 2nd for this one. Schloss Brauerei Ellingen's first Karl Keller beer lands the number 17 spot. This 5.1% Zwickel beer provided an earthy taste that was intense up front but worked its way into my heart with its sweetness. My Untappd review says, I wasted the good pour on the video, and it's true. Look at the head in the video. Now look at this photo. Anyway, back to the Untappd review. Pretty good Zwickel, lager smell and taste, a bit earthy, intense up front, and sweeter as you drink. I definitely would drink again. I earned 3 badges with this check-in. Untappd at home, level 51, which means I have had 295 check-ins from home. That's quarantine life for you. Middle of the road, level 97, that's 485 beers I have checked in with an ABV greater than 5%, but less than 10%. And the coveted Das Boot badge, which means I checked in 5 beers from Germany. Of course, this calendar helped me put a dent in that badge, and I had a few German beers before. I had some beers in Germany even, and that was prior to me utilizing the app. At any rate, I sit at level 5 right now, and I'm 1 German beer away from number 6, which I will hit soon. And it will be a video series. So, just watch out. Also, seeing as we know what level I'm on here, I won't explain the Das Boot badge when it inevitably comes up again. So, let's just move on now. We finally break away from the 3.9 ties to a 7-way tie with ratings of 4.0. Why, oh, why did I do this to myself? Coming in at number 16 is the 5.1% Vienna-style lager from Privatbrauerei Lontium, out of Kottstock, Malten, Cotton, Austria. This beer, of course, is a Vienna-style lager. My Untappd review says nice copper color, caramel malt flavor and slight apple, real smooth and easy drinking, slight hop bitterness towards the end, and then still finishes sweet and delicious, super crisp and malty. Yummy. I received the Beer of the World Level 13 badge with this check-in. That means I've had a beer from 65 different regions around the world. Now that's a feat. Do I even need to explain that another 4.0 beer is next? Okay, well, I'll say it anyway. With a 4.0 and breaking into the top 15 of the pack is the Perlenzauber Pale Ale. This, of course, is an international pale ale, and it came from our friends again at Privatbrauerei HIGaraha. My Untappd review says, really solid beer. Easy drinking and smooth. Slight citrus and apple taste, but mostly bready and doughy malt taste that is sweet like a sugar cookie. No hop bitterness. Slight citrus smell with malt sweet smell. Now this is where I'm totally going to waste your time. I received 5 badges for this check-in. To go please, level 50, which means I have purchased 250 beers from a different location than when I drank them. or where I drank them. The location of this purchase was obviously Costco, and I obviously drank it from the dining room of my multi-million-dollar mansion. I also earned the Verified Adventure Level 90 badge, no explanation necessary. Brewery Pioneer Level 67, which means I've had a beer from 335 different breweries around the world. And for the can, Level 55. We discussed this one already. Wheel of Styles Level 27 badge. That means I checked into 135 different beer styles. I received the Wheel of Styles badge because I had never had an International Pale Ale before. And once again, an International Pale Ale is not an IPA. Of course, it was only a matter of time before another one appeared. But number 14 is another Helles. And guess what? It has a 4.0 rating. Number 14 is the 5% Earl Hell from Landbrauerei Ludwig Earl out of Geiselhöring, Germany. This full Bavarian Helles lager was able to elevate itself above the Perlenzauber because, well, you know Helleses are among my favorite styles, and this is a great one. My Untapped review says, another day in hell. Man, I have some lame jokes. But it is another Helles. Great one, too. Nice, crisp, grassy hop taste while remaining sweet plus honey flavor. Even flight fruitiness. Not slight, but flight. Yeah, no comments. The malt and hop flavor combined is great. I used many words to describe the flavor profile here, so I'm just going to see how fast I can get through them. Light, soft, sweet, elegant, fruity, malty, grassy, honey, crisp. Phew. Also, yes, I am drinking an Australian beer while talking about German beer. Come at me, bro. Our first Märzen makes its way into the countdown at number 13. And yes, it's a 4.0. This one was also the focal point of a running joke during my videos. It's the long-awaited smoke beer. The blending of whiskey and wheat malts helped promote that smoke flavor, and it brought that amazing flavor to this Märzen. Of course, it's the 5.3% Märzen beer from Privatbrauerei Hösel out of Mitterteich, Germany. My Untapped review says, interesting beer. A nice smoky flavor and smell that props up a sweet bready and toffee taste along with a slight grass bitterness. Just imagine a really good Märzen, but add a sweet smoked flavor. Also, hashtag RIP Boatyard, because I was drinking out of that Boatyard glass. This made its way into the number 13 spot because it was a terrific smoke and Märzen mixed. It slightly elevated it above the previous Helles. What do you know? Number 12 was another Helles, and another beer ranked a 4.0. Herrenbräu's Bürgerliches Brauhause, Altbayerisch Hell, comes in at number 12. Altbayerisch means Old Bavarian, by the way. At 4.9% and utilizing less hops, creating a less bitter flavor, this modern brewed beer based on a traditional recipe is appealing to both beer and non-beer drinkers. My Untapped review for this one was simple. Tastes like a Helles lager, but also sparkling. No hop bite, but slight bitterness with the herbal and floral notes help drive home the sweet malt taste. It's light, smooth, and delicious. I got the Riding Steady Level 53 badge for this check-in. That's 265 beers with an ABV of less than 5%. This made it to number 12 because of its interesting, sparkling take on a Helles. In addition, it's a newer brew even though it's based on a traditional recipe. The experimentation paid off in my opinion. Number 11, another 4.0, brings us to the old school Oktoberfest beer. Yes, that's right, it's a Märzen. Not to be confused with the present-day fest beers, however. But like I said in the actual review video, a lot of the American-style Oktoberfest beers are Märzens. Of course, this was the big anniversary beer, the Jubiläumsbier 333, or Dry Dry Dry. This beer came from Schlossbrauerei Reder out of Reder, Nordrhein-Westfalen, Germany. This 5.7% Märzen had a smooth yet intense and sweet flavor. My Untapped review says, so I wouldn't use full, but I did because there's no middle ground. Great biscuit-like malt taste that pairs well with the bitterness of the hops. Delicious beer and definitely heavier than it appears. I earned 2 badges for this check-in. Neither of them I am going to explain again. One was the Das Boot Level 2 badge, and the other Untapped at Home Level 52 badge. Overall, this was a really great Märzen that just barely missed out on being in the top 10, but still made it within the top 50%. It made number 11 because of its unique Märzen taste. At any rate, On to the top 10. Here it is, the top 10 beers of the 2020 KALEA Brewers Advent Calendar. You already know number 1 because I spoiled it at the beginning of the video. But what will numbers 2 through 10 be? What will be the top 5 or the top 3? Continue to watch to find out. But while we're here, go ahead and make sure you click the subscribe button and ring that bell. Number 10 is the first beer that we drank out of the calendar. It's the Flotzinger Hell from December 1st. This clean, light, smooth, sweet, and full beer came out first and held its own to break into the top 10 overall. Terrific work, Hell. This 5.2% 18 IBU Helles comes from Flotzinger Bräu out of Rosenheim, Bayern. This was the first of many Helleses in the pack, and it left such a great impression on me that it solidified its spot within the top 10. My Untapped review says, looks, smells, and tastes great. Light body and easy drinking. Sweet flavor. Malt and grain taste with slight hop bite up front. Almost an apple flavor and smell to it. Very earthy. Recommend for anyone that can try it. I earned 4 badges for this check-in, but only one I will describe here because the other 3 I already have mentioned here. But I received the To Go Please level 48 badge, Riding Steady level 52 badge, and the For the Can level 53 badge. All, of course, were surpassed later on. However, I also received the Hop Down level 34 badge. That means I have had 170 beers with lower bitterness, essentially 20 IBUs or less. As you can tell, at the time of filming this, I only need 2 more to reach level 35. You held your own with this one, Flotzinger. Terrific beer. Now on to number 9. By the way, number 9 and 8 are tied with a rating of 4.10. Time out as I drink some more Australian beer while I explain German beers. And I said Australian, not Austrian. Number 9 brings us another Zwickel. Kupfhausbräu Keller beer is a 5% Zwickel beer. Remember, that's a subcategory of a Keller beer that comes from Wälder Braumanufaktur, a microbrewery in Plankstadt, Baden-Württemberg, Germany. This was one of the final beers in the pack, and it definitely provided a great and unique taste. One of my favorite Zwickels, without a doubt. My Untapped check-in says, terrific Zwickel, doughy taste with lemon, orange, and earthy hop flavor. Sweet grainy flavor helps enhance the hops. Hop character is light but delicious. Overall, a yummy Keller beer that I recommend. Dry, clean, and smooth. So, why number 9? Why don't I explain number 8 to you first and it'll make sense. Either way, a 4.1 is a terrific rating. Also, I earned 3 badges for that one, and all have been described before. But they are To Go Please level 55, Das Boot level 5, and Brewery Pioneer level 69. Anyway, on to number 8 now. Number 8 is a terrific Hefeweizen. One of the best I've had, actually. And yes, it is another 4.1. But why did it beat out the Keller beer? Because this unique Hefeweizen is a true old world style Weizen. I have to admire it for that, and it also sure is delicious. Of course, I'm talking about Beerenweise, another terrific brew from Privatbrauerei HI Geraha. This 5.7% Hefeweizen has a cloudy honey appearance and just tastes terrific. My Untapped review says, a true old world style Hefeweizen, more medium bodied than light, and absolutely delicious. Terrific malt, banana, clove, and yeast flavor that is the real deal. Slight hoppiness. It does it right. Smells and tastes great. Of course, 3 badges. Already discussed them all, so here they are on your screen. In the meantime, thank you to Privatbrauerei HI Geraha for providing so many terrific beers for this calendar. And this isn't the last time you'll see them either. But this one that they provided was a solid home run, and number 8 is a terrific finish. Now on to number 7. Number 7 has a nice history to it, as it started its life as a fest beer. This 5% and 24 IBU Dunkelweizen, which came rather early in the calendar, always stood out to me during the 24-day beer marathon. In fact, it was the first beer to overtake the Flotzinger Hell to work its way into the number 1 spot. This terrific beer, which we are about to dive into the details about, gets a terrific 4.3 out of 5. Of course, the beer is the Gramminger Kirche, which comes from Gramminger Weissbräu, a nano brewery out of Eltotting, Bayern, Germany. This beer was originally created as a fest beer for the Eltottinger Kirche. They say it goes perfect with hearty dishes. So if I ever get the chance to have this beer again, roast beef it is. My Untapped review says, best one on the calendar thus far. Terrific sweet malt and fruity smell. Looks terrific. Great malt taste that mixes caramel and even slight chocolate. Even a bit fruity. This beer had a terrific flavor profile that was sweet, yeasty, smoky, sparkling, caramely, clovey, malty, fruity, and chocolatey, plus some banana flavor. It just had it all. Overall, just one terrific beer. I wish I could crack it open again right now. I did get the Brewery Pioneer level 66 badge here, but no explanation needed on that one. On to number 6. Knowing my preferences, who would have thunk that a Pilsner would find itself all the way up at number 6? Well, here we are, a Pilsner at number 6, as I drink an Australian lager. To be fair, this was an extremely well-made and hoppy Pilsner. Of course, it's the Hallertauer Hopfen Cuvée from Schlossbrauerei Heringersdorf, out of Heinzgendorf, Bayern. This is a 5.3% beer in the cans that we get in the United States, but is generally reported as 4.8% in bottles in Germany. Guess we got the good deal there. Anyway, this is a German-style Pilsner that just absolutely knocked my socks off and got a 4.4 rating. This Pilsner features the 4 best Hallertau aroma hops: Perle, Sapphire, Hallertau Tradition, and Hallertauer Mittelfleur, to create one of the most interesting Pilsners in the world. My Untapped review says, this is a really good German Pilsner. Looks and tastes great. A herbal, sweet, and malty smell that matches up with a really sweet malt taste that features hop spiciness and bitterness. Between its light and clean profile and hoppy herbal taste, this is a Pilsner for the ages. In fact, it totally has convinced me to try to make a Pilsner that utilizes terrific America aroma hops. That'll be for a video much later down the line, however. Also, I earned 4 badges here too. All discussed before, so here they are. And by the way, I meant to say American aroma hops, not America. And I also meant to say herbal, not herbal, but you know what? Whatever. A terrific beer that just barely misses out on the top 5. However, number 5 through number 3 are all 3-way ties at 4.5. And they're the only ties remaining. So, here we go. The top 5 beers out of the 2020 KALEA Brewers Advent Calendar. Top 5 out of 23. Let's roll! And breaking into the top 5, in the number 5 spot, with a rating of 4.5 out of 5, is a lager? Actually, yes it is. And it's no joke. This was one amazing lager at that. It's Alpenstoff, the Dortmunder/export lager. This 5.6% 22 IBU Dortmunder lager comes from Burgerbräu Bad Reichenhall, out of Bad Reichenhall, Germany. I had only ever had one other Dortmunder export lager before, and this one just absolutely helped me fall in love with the style. My Untapped review says, wow, one of my favorite beers from the pack. Slight bitterness and the dryness helps with that. Grassy and sweet malt taste combined with some spiciness. Smooth, light, and crisp. Love it. Smells and looks great too. This beer had a well-rounded flavor profile too. Light, smooth, clean, sweet, malty, spicy, dry, crisp, and grassy. Overall, just an amazing beer. While amazing, once you see what number 4 and number 3 are, if you know my beer preferences, and also watched any of my videos as I was reviewing the beers, you'll know why the next 2 placed where they did. On to number 4. Number 4 was the only stout in the 2020 KALEA Brewers Advent Calendar. It was also a collaboration beer, and it was certainly delicious. Definitely earned a 4.5 rating, and it was a solid spot within the top 5. However, at first I didn't know what to expect. This beer had an identity crisis, as many places were claiming it was a different style than it was. At the end of the day, after tasting it, I deferred to the can and Untapped and agreed that it was a stout. Want to know more about this crisis? Then check out the video, you silly fool. The Schwarze Tinte Collab Stout is a 6.2% foreign/export stout, which was brewed in a collaboration between 2 breweries. Hopfenkopfbräu out of Fechten an der Alz, Bayern, Germany, and Brauerei Seidel, Die Trackinger Bier, out of Austria. This beer was brewed in a unique way. Malt was even roasted in a small coffee roaster before being brewed with the barley. Just simply amazing. My Untapped review says, wasn't sure what to think going into it because this beer apparently had an identity crisis. But it's a really good foreign stout. Nice roasty caramel flavor with slight roast bitterness and earth hop bitterness to accompany it. Man, I'm having a tough time speaking right now. It had a great flavor profile that consists of coffee, caramel, and roasty flavor. It was definitely a full beer that was just oh so delicious. I did receive 2 badges for this check-in, one of which was the Untapped at Home Level 53 badge, which I won't explain because it already has been. But this other one, I'll definitely explain. This is the Better Together Level 2 badge. This means I have checked in 10 different beers that have been brewed as a collaboration between 2 different breweries. It's always great when you have breweries working together, and sometimes they pump out a unique product, just like this one. So, now we move on to number 3, the final tie of the calendar. It also comes in at 4.5, and really it should not surprise you as to what it is if you've been watching. But here we go. The top 3. Number 3 was so good that there were 3 videos dedicated to it. Of course, it was the beer that appeared twice in the calendar. It also breaks into the top 3 because it held the number 1 spot for so long until the previous 2 tied it, and the next 2 went on to overtake it. Of course, it is the Herrenbräu Tradition Fest beer. This beer is 5.5% 20 IBU Fest beer that is Herrenbräu's, a microbrewery out of Ingolstadt, Bayern's recipe. But it was brewed by Privatbrauerei HiGeraha. See, I told you once again that you'd hear them again. I'm assuming this was for the sake of the calendar, but I'm not quite sure. Just passing along the info I have. At any rate, this is a traditional fest beer that is brewed for the traditional festive season in Bavaria. It's only available seasonally, and is certainly a rare treat. Would have been more rare if I didn't receive 2, but hey, it's a really great beer, and I'm glad the other 2 Beer Stooges got to try it. My Untapped review says, everyone has different tastes, and this rating may turn some heads, but this is amazing. Great color, sweet golden malt, and slight honey taste with some earthy and almost lemony flavors from the hops, but not bitter. It's very sessionable, light, smooth, clean, sweet, and malty. Perfect for an all-day drinker. Now I know why they love these types of beers during Oktoberfest. And also, just so you know, the other 2 Beer Stooges, one gave it a 4.0 and the other one a 4.25. I gave it a 4.5, so we're all in that range. So it's gotta be a good beer then. I received no badges for either check-in, but my second check-in simply says, glad I gotta have it again. KALEA, please include the Stein beer next year. I really want to try that. Though, honestly, I was completely fine getting this beer twice. It was just so good. And had I not gotten it twice, the review video featuring the 3 Beer Stooges would have never existed. If you want to go see that video, which features their thoughts on the tradition, so you don't just get mine, the link is in the description. But I'll give you a quick preview here, and this is their food recommendations that would pair well with it.
If I saw this in a local grocery store, I'd pick it up, have a few, make a steak on the grill, and have a good time.
Yeah, I could have myself some schnitzel and some pretzels drinking this.
Yeah.
Okay, so steak or schnitzel. They kind of went 2 different ways with that one. But hey, the beer will go good with anything. Steak, schnitzel, chicken, buffalo wings, roast beef, turkey, liver, tripe. You name it. Sorry if I gross some people out, by the way. But hey, it is what it is. Have I mentioned about subscribing lately? Number 2 is interesting, and I find it funny that it places right after the Herrenbräu Tradition because it's another Herrenbräu beer that I wasn't sure I would be getting because the Tradition appeared twice. Had I paid more attention to the beer tasting app, I would have noticed the Stein beer was the one that was going to be missing. Once again, KALEA, here's me begging you to include it in the calendar next year. Stein beer, please! At any rate, I finally unveiled the beer, and I was so happy to be able to have it, and ended up overtaking the Tradition. And here it is, solidly sitting at number 2, with a 4.7 out of 5 rating. This is the Jubiläumssud, Dunkel/Dark, another Herrenbräu beer brewed by Privatbrauerei HiGeraha. This Munich Dunkel Lager was one I really was looking forward to tasting, and I'm glad I got to. It's just simply delicious. My Untapped review says, best one of the calendar thus far, creamy and full. Sweet, bready, caramel, and malty flavor, along with a grassy/tea-like flavor/bitterness that rounds back to a brown sugar-like sweetness. Looks, smells, and tastes great. This beer was made to celebrate the 500th birthday of the Bavarian Purity Law, or Reinheitsgebot, in 2016. The beer is brewed in a classic mashing process, and all raw materials come right from the region. Amazing history and terrific tasting beer. Just proves that they knew what they were doing back in 1516. Okay, is anyone really surprised by number 1? Like, I gave it away at the beginning of the video. But let's not let that detract from the fact that this beer, which is honored as one of the world's best Weizenbach beers and one of the big features of the 2020 calendar, made it to the #1 spot. It was the final beer of the calendar, being opened on Christmas Eve, December 24th, and it took top honors. It is also the only beer out of the calendar to get a perfect 5 out of 5 rating. Props to that. Keep watching, I'm about to start talking right now. And #1, which should be no surprise to anybody who's been watching, is the Ladenburger Weizenbach Hell, a 7.4% 40 IBU Weizenbach from Brauerei Ladenburger in Neuler, Germany. This brewery has been around since 1789 and is now managed by Karl Friedrich Ladenburger, an 8th-generation family manager of the brewery. That family tradition helped make this beer, a Weizenbach that has won multiple awards from the World Beer Cup. My Untapped review says, final beer of the calendar, and it takes the #1 spot. Fairly strong, but stronger than it tastes. Sweet bready malt flavor that leads to a banana/clove/plum flavor. Just terrific. I knew this beer was going to be good, but I had no idea where it would finish amongst the rest. Once I had it, I just knew. This beer was going to get the perfect rating. A 5 out of 5. I did get 2 badges for this one. One was Untapped at Home level 56, not explaining that again. But the other is a new one for this. I normally don't drink beer on a Thursday night. It's just the way my schedule rolls. But this calendar, which had me drinking at least 1 beer every Thursday night, including Christmas Eve, allowed me to get level 3 of this badge. This is the new Brew Thursday badge. To get this badge, I just had to drink something new for 3 Thursdays in a 20-day period. Matches perfectly for this calendar. So if you are on Untapped, and you do this calendar next year, you'll definitely be getting this badge. So that is it. This brings the 2020 KALEA Brewers Advent Calendar videos to a close. I posted a video just previously that was literally just about the box. Like literally, it was just a video about the box. Like the box itself, it deserves its own video. It deserves a star in something, so really there's 26 videos, and this is number 27. It changed a bit since I filmed the opening, and it's weird how things work, isn't it? And maybe this isn't the last video about 2020 calendar anyway. Maybe I release one every year, and I just watch myself and make fun of myself. But who knows? Just don't give me any ideas. The box deserved its own video, though. Like, look at it. It's wonderful. Anyway, special thanks again to all of you who have followed along during this journey. Make sure you like and subscribe. More videos are coming down the pipeline, including some beer-related ones. The video will be up soon describing my 2021 goals for the blog and this channel, so make sure you follow along. Go ahead and head on over to www.universeofadventures.com and subscribe there as well. Tons of fun stuff coming your way. Also, thank you to KALEA and all the breweries that participated in this calendar once again. This calendar is just simply amazing, and I cannot wait until 2021. Steinbeer, please. Thank you all so much. Without the participating breweries or KALEA, not only would this not be possible, these videos or this whole series actually, but I would have never been able to try any of these great beers either. So really, this deliciousness that I've had is just terrific. So thank you for bringing this to the table, bringing it to the United States, and bringing it to the table, I guess, too. But yeah, just thank you so much. Also, thank you to my wife, Haley, for buying me the calendar for my birthday. And, of course, thank you to the 2 other Beer Stooges, Tim and Travis, for being a part of this tradition review video. I'm laughing because my cat just almost knocked something over and it scared herself. But you'll be seeing a lot more of Tim and Travis, the 2 other Beer Stooges. As I said, they are part of the Universe of Adventures, and they cannot wait to be a part of more coming down the pipeline. Lots more fun content coming your way. Until next time, everyone, stay safe, and I'd say cheers, but my Foster's is gone, so I'm not going to. But just enjoy the credits, and I'm reminding you that you best click on that subscribe button. Subscribe here, subscribe to the blog, and follow us on social media. Until next time, guys, see you later, and thank you so much. But really quickly before we go, guys, I just wanted to tell you how much this calendar really is awesome. I just wanted to show you. Calendar, you've been great. Thank you.